Welcome everyone to our coach interviews. Today I'm joined by our wonderful coach, Mike Morgan. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I'm really looking forward to learn a little bit more about you, your coaching, and a little bit about you personally as well. So thank you for being here today.
Thanks for the invite, Paul. It's been a while, but it's good to finally do this.
Yeah, no, we've tried to get this in the calendar for a while. We've been very busy, so it's good to get this off the ground and have you here. So just to open up so our audience can get to know a little bit more about Mike, can you tell us a little bit more about you, both personally, professionally?
Yeah, okay, so personally, I live in Wales, West Wales, been back about 4 years. Before that, lived up in Scotland for about 8.5 years. That was to work, really, and before that, kind of lived between Wales and England. So I guess I've moved around quite a bit in my life. Professionally, I've been doing consultancy for 4 years now. Before that, it was public sector for about 21 years. So I started work back in 2000, which seems ages ago now. We get to that point where you start to count in decades, which is a bit scary. But yeah, I did 13 years down in Carmarthenshire, West Wales, and then I don't know, I just through a couple of things in life just felt like I needed a change of scene, to get away from things. Really, it was just like too much baggage in a kind of a small area. So I was kind of open-minded about it. And I think I kind of, rather than looking at a job, I thought, rather than looking at an area, I thought I'm just going to see what jobs come up.
Yeah.
And a couple came up in Scotland. And I remember the first one that came up was a place called Oban on the west coast. And my geography of Scotland was terrible, so I had to Google, as you do, and I couldn't even find anywhere to rent. So I was like, well, that probably rules that one out. But eventually I settled on one in Perth and managed to get an interview, went up, and yeah, we loved the area and ended up being there for 8.5 years. Our daughter was born there. And then, for different reasons, on the back of COVID, we kind of moved back for her to be closer to the family, and my partner Helen, her mum, wasn't great either. And I think COVID just kind of give you that period of reflection as to what was kind of important. So yeah, on the back of that, then, so I've been involved in consultancy, but we'll come on to certain things, but it's not really me.
Okay. And what kind of things do you do in consultancy? If you feel free to share.
So I'm kind of based in transportation, but I kind of deal with what we often refer to as placemaking, which is a typical vague consultancy term, which doesn't really describe, but ultimately my goal is about trying to improve the places we live in. So that could be public realm, that could be around active travel, public art, a range of things, but it's about trying to understand those who live there, what are the barriers of living there, what are the opportunities, and then ultimately what can we look to achieve that gives value to the community.
It sounds like you do some wonderful work, so thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your story as well and your travels to Scotland. I'm sure Scotland was beautiful. I love Scotland as a country personally. I think it's a beautiful part of the UK. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm interested to know, so from your working in the public sector, we're talking decades now as well. 2000 does seem like years ago when the millennium happened. I think, I was only 9 years old at that point, so it is thinking back for me, yeah. So my next question is, what I'm curious to know is how, so from that public sector into consultancy, how did you kind of find your way into the world of coaching, given this background?
Yes, it's a good question. It's something I've been reflecting on, and I think initially it was I love my time up in Perth. I love the job there, very rewarding. Working with people, and I guess I like that impact, or be able to create impact. But that was at a kind of community level, and I think just with COVID, having that kind of, I guess, disruption to life, and also at the same time, I guess it was that kind of juxtaposition in some respects. You kind of had that unsettling time, but also that space to reflect on certain things. And I realised I was at almost I suppose, a metaphor, kind of a crossroads. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. And I remember at the time, actually, Kerry Turner, I think she was going into coaching, and she was offering, like I'm doing at the moment, kind of free sessions. And I just thought it sounded like an opportunity just to kind of do some reflection. And I think I just did a brain dump with Kerry for about an hour. Bless her, I think she was hoping to record within that allotted time frame, and I just went well over that and just ruined it for her. But it just kind of made me realise that I was looking for something else. I'd kind of done, at that point, I was probably coming up to 20 years public sector, and felt that I'd done my time, but I wasn't sure what the next step was. Anyway, kind of went through COVID, came out the other side, and then made the decision to move back. I was looking at jobs down here, nothing kind of was on the path of what I was doing in Scotland. And I thought there was something I didn't have the energy for public sector anymore. So I thought, like, okay, I'll try private sector. So I put out a post on LinkedIn. We came down, it was my 40th at the time, so we had 2 weeks off. I came back to Wales, and I said to my boss at the time, we're looking to move back as a family, but we're talking months, kind of, we're not looking for a job, anything. And I came back for 2 weeks. I gave my notice because I'd accepted, and that kind of gave me an indication of how quick private sector can move to public sector, really. But I don't know, I think through the coaching and learning about values, and that I knew at the time that there was something. And I think over time with consultancy, I realised that I'm not driven by titles or money, and I don't find the corporate world comfortable. Really, and the profit over impact doesn't kind of sit with me. So there's that as well. But there was something about almost 2 years ago, probably about 20 months now, and I'd got to a point where I just got fed up of drinking for a number of reasons. It wasn't a point where I had to stop drinking. It was a conscious decision, but I was just fed up of being fed up with a few things, and I thought I just need a decent break. So I committed to 3 months with that. And one of the things that inspired me to do that was I was listening to a podcast, and on the back of stopping drinking, it turned out that my anxiety levels went up between that and the situation with work. So I took a month off. I think it was May last year, and it helped me to ground in kind of nature, get on the paddleboard, the water and that. And I kind of went back to the guy who I listened to the podcast, and he was saying about coaching. And the more I was thinking about it, it just kind of resonated with something. It's like that kind of funny feeling you get sometimes where you just get a surge of energy for something. And I thought, okay, and then I was looking into it, and we were starting to save for a house at the time. And then it was like, 4, 5, 6 grand for different courses, and then, kind of wary of where do I invest in, what will I get in return, and it comes back to Kelly as well. And she turned around and said, she sent me a link one day and she says, I don't know if you've heard of these. There's this really annoying guy called Paul Smith. He's doing a lot of good stuff with Coaching Minds. You might be interested. You can cut that bit out. So I looked at it, and of course you remove that kind of barrier, or you improve the accessibility to coaching for the monthly subscription. So I just kind of took that as a sign sometimes. I guess some of the books you've shared and I've read, the kind of signs we see in life and the opportunities that present themselves. And I just kind of, on the back of that then, I just thought it's something I feel I have to try and see where it takes me, ultimately.
No, thank you for sharing that, Mike. There's lots of stuff that's led you there, and a huge thank you to Kelly for coaching you first of all, and for making that connection to this annoying guy over here as well. So, but no,
you don't know yet. Just clarify.
Yeah. Thanks. But no, it's just it's nice that we've had that alignment as well, because one thing that Coaching Minds is we're not about profit here, we're about impact as well. That's why we offer the course at such a low cost. So thank you for being part of us, thank you for being here, and congratulations on your sobriety as well. It takes a lot of discipline to get that level of self-awareness to say, right, I'm fed up with this, I'm going to stop it. And it takes commitment and discipline to go, did you say 20 months to 2 years now?
Yeah, it's been about 20 months. And it gets to the point, I guess you don't think about it really, but I suppose Christmas comes up, and a lot of that is about social interaction and celebration, excess, whatever. I guess there's a number of things there, but yeah, overall I forget about it, if I'm honest.
Amazing, great stuff. And now that you've started to do coaching, so you've been coaching for about a year now, I think, you've been part of Coaching Minds. You're coming up to a year, and maybe you've been doing indirect coaching beforehand that you kind of not formally labelled coaching, but a lot of the skills and things that you've been learning as part of your coaching. What is it that you enjoy the most about coaching?
I think it goes back to impact. And I think, as you said, there's been things over the years through public sector, through like my job, engaging with people, communities, putting yourself out there on a kind of pedestal at times, and just kind of trying to be honest with people. I guess because I've not come through a certain avenue, I'm not classically trained like an engineer or an architect. I don't align with a certain profession. So I've just kind of, I guess I don't associate with jargon at times. And I've tried to kind of be consistent with people and just kind of treat people with respect. And I think over time then, due to like when you go up or progress, you kind of encounter different layers of red tape, politics, etc. And I think over time it just kind of chipped away at delivering impact, or there always seemed to be barriers in the way, etc. And I think over time that's kind of chipped away at me in terms of what I'm doing. And then I just realised that I suppose it was that trying to help others but not through advice. And I think that's why I like the coaching, because I think if it came down to giving people advice, I just personally wouldn't be comfortable doing that. It's not what I'm about, but trying to help others help themselves and hopefully get to a better place is something that really appealed to me. I guess on the back of the 18 months I had, I'd taken time out. It's just that realisation, and also I've done 25 years. If I'm working for another 20 years, what do I want to be doing for 20 years that I enjoy? And when I was off for that month, I was reading a book. I think her name's Brianna Wiest. I don't know, I probably killed that pronunciation, but I think the book was The Mountain Is You. And there was a question in there. She said, who and what are you willing to be uncomfortable for? and it was just something that really resonated with me at the time, because I was on the periphery of the coaching and that, and then it was like, actually, it's not me and the company I work for, or it's not me in consultancy, it's me in coaching. And I know it's been a bit stop-start over the last 12 months for different reasons, but it has built momentum, and it's been really good, especially with coaching people. There is that, I guess, discomfort at times, but you quickly get past that, I found. So yeah, it's been good.
No, excellent. No, thank you for sharing that. And I really resonate with that. Coaching is not about giving people fish the advice, but it's actually teaching them how to fish. And it's a whole different aspect, different perspective to approach supporting people that not many of us are used to. So I can really resonate with what you're sharing there about stepping away, not giving advice, but actually guiding them to find their own answers. So thank you for sharing that. And my last question for today for our audience is, for anybody that is looking for a coach, what can they expect to receive from your coaching?
It's a really good question. It's something that it's got me thinking quite a bit. Because the things I'm not good at kind of talking about myself or kind of promoting myself, and I appreciate that that's something I need to be more comfortable with. Because ultimately it is about selling, because you want to coach people. And it's about raising awareness, but I kind of put some nerves. So I think the important thing is it's about supporting the individual through providing them a space where they feel comfortable with. And I've done that with a number of clients. The feedback I've had has been quite positive. So with that, especially as I've known them as well, I think it's helping them be vulnerable when they know a person can be quite challenging. But for them to have kind of progressed past that has been quite pleasing at the same time. But it's also saying that, you have the answers yourself. It's not for me to provide you with the answers. It's about helping you get to a certain point in time. As frustrating as that can be at times in sessions for the client. Yeah, it's also about consistency. I think, interestingly, I did the values pyramid exercise myself, and that is one of my kind of primary values. I try to apply that to coaching, because I guess that's one of the hardest things you can do is be consistent. But it's being present, following up on commitments, kind of honouring what I'll say I do, really, and kind of hopefully giving that reassurance. I think as well, having that kind of non-judgmental space, I've kind of experienced a lot. I've done a lot, good and bad, and I think that kind of gives you a broad church through life and where people are coming from, and it actually takes quite a lot to offend me. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but so yeah, it's just a case of, through experience, I think you can kind of just recognise that life is hard, and a lot of what people do is just getting through day to day, and that's okay. And I think it's just, I think it's a phrase that Ed has used or uses, and it's that kind of just trying to keep it real.
Yeah.
I can't do pretentious. I don't do bullshit. So I'm just a kind of, I am what you see. And hopefully that's enough for people.
No, amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Mike. So if anyone's looking for a real down-to-earth coach, sorry, your screen went for a second there, real down-to-earth coach with a safe space. Often I really resonate with what you're saying there, Mike. Often we can perceive coaching as we have to have these big goals, these big life visions, but actually sometimes just the space that we can provide, like you provide, just to work through what we're doing on a day-to-day basis can be really powerful and useful, and creating that safe space that you do create is fantastic. And I've witnessed and experienced a little bit of your coaching, and I can highly recommend you as a coach. I feel like we really connect outside. I love your reflective questions. You're always thinking about how to apply your tools, how to apply yourself as a coach. So really, really love everything you're doing, Mike, and the journey that you're on as a coach. So I want to say thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing a bit about yourself, a bit about your coaching, what you enjoy about coaching, and what people can expect from you. Do you have any final words for the listeners?
Feel free to reach out. I've not kind of been as involved in coaching minds as I'd like to the last couple of months, but that will change. And yeah, the presence with social media will grow in the coming months as well, as I look to establish that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great to hear from people if they're interested.
Yeah, no, we will drop your links in the comments box. So where's best for people to reach out to you? Do you prefer LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook?
Instagram's probably the best at the moment. LinkedIn is something I'll be looking to develop as part of the brand and approach the marketing in the next probably 12-18 months.
Because you just started to shape your brand on Instagram as well. Like, I'm really loving the stuff that you've started to post and the new logo that you have for your business. So we haven't really talked much about that today, but you're doing some great work behind the scenes to build your brand. So I love it.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we'll drop the Instagram links in the comments box so you can reach out and connect with Mike. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everybody who's watching this in the audience. Thank you, everyone.